Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the 55th Governor of the State of New York, David Paterson. Dr. Hazel Dukes, President of the NAACP. And now, welcome to the stage, Assemblymember Inez Dickens. Senator Cordell Clear. And Lieutenant Governor Antonio Delgado. Joy Bivens, President of the Schomburg Center. And now, everyone, please give a round of applause to the 57th Governor of the State of New York, Governor Kathy Hochul.
Good morning. Welcome to the Schomburg Center. My name is Joy Bivens, and I have the distinct privilege of serving as the director of the Schomburg Center for Research in Black Culture. I would like to thank you all for being here this morning as we announce the next phase of critically important infrastructure improvements at the Schomburg, and extend our thanks to Governor Kathy Hochul for the capital funding that will help future-proof this important institution. At the Schomburg Center, we steward a collection of 11 million objects that document the histories and cultures of people of African descent. And we serve as the leading institution in the preservation, conservation, and exhibition of these materials. With just a library card, anyone can come in and you can access these materials, centuries of history and culture, and also the archives of luminaries like Maya Angelou, James Baldwin, Ruby Dee and Ossie Davis, Malcolm X, and of course, Arturo Alfonso Schomburg. People come from all walks of life and from around the world to explore our collections, to research and create works of literature, art, films, music, and more. As our collections continue to grow, this institution isn't important in just preserving history, but in contributing to it. I'd like to note that part of our campus here, the building you may have passed on 136th Street, has served as a library for more than 100 years, and in 2017 was named as a national landmark. But those of you who have been to the center before know that we have opened our doors for years with new ways to engage the community. The Schomburg isn't just a repository of history, but an evolving reflection of the rich historic community it serves. Governor Hochul, this investment in the Schomburg will support us, and I would say pay dividends, in our commitment to provide our patrons and staff with the best environment possible to research, learn, and discover as we prepare to ring in our next century. We thank you. We want to express our deep gratitude. And I would also like to take this moment to thank and acknowledge the incredible staff of the Schomburg Center, whose work is, I would call, exceptional. I would also like to thank all of my colleagues at the New York Public Library, especially those who worked so hard to organize this morning's festivities. There's deep thanks that goes to all the folks you see here who welcomed you this morning, who maintain this building, maintain our collections, and run our day-to-day operations, and serve hundreds of thousands of patrons annually. They are the front lines and the heart and soul of this institution. Along with thanking the governor, I would also like to thank our federal, state, and city elected officials that are here with us today. Each and every year, our local elected officials step up and support the Schomburg and provide critically important public funding for our collections, programs, and services. We are truly honored to have such great support from our public officials. I would also like to thank our partners at DASNY who will be working with us on this project. We look forward to working with you in the near future. And lastly, I would like to recognize the critical support of our community partners, fellow cultural institutions, our local community boards, and our neighbors and friends. And with that, I would like to give a warm Schomburg welcome to our guest of honor, Governor Kathy Hochul.
Thank you, Joy, for the introduction and for your leadership of this extraordinary treasure. That's the only way to describe what is encapsulated within these walls and calling for us to restore, not just the heart and soul of this place, but also the physical building that houses a story, a beautiful story. And I'm also very proud to be here with my partner in government, our Lieutenant Governor, Antonio Delgado. He'll be speaking in a couple of minutes. A mentor of mine who's been through what I'm experiencing on a day-to-day basis, from Lieutenant Governor to Governor, and that is our very own David Paterson, the former governor of the state of New York. I want to thank David Paterson. Our former controller here is H. Carl McCall. Are you in the house, Carl? Well, maybe he's finding a parking spot. I don't know. I hear it gets a little tough out there sometimes, but what a great leader he is as well. And also the president of the entire New York State NAACP, Harlem's own Mama Dukes, Dr. Hazel Dukes. Dr. Hazel Dukes. My partners in state government, Senator Clear, I want to thank her for her leadership. Senator Jackson has joined us. Let's give them a round of applause. Inez Dickens is here, looking fabulous. Inez, it's great to have Manny De Los Santos is here, our state assembly member. Eddie Gibbs is here, assembly member. Our borough president, Mark Levine, who I seem like I see every day of the week. Also, Iris Weinsall, I want to thank her for the incredible work she does at the New York Public Libraries. It is a massive undertaking, but she does it with heart and compassion. Let's give a round of applause for Iris, recognize her. Nadine Fontaine representing DASNY, who's going to have their hands on this project, and I'm going to be saying, how fast are you going? Are you going fast enough? So let's wish Nadine well in that effort as well. And also Lloyd Williams, who I'll be bringing up shortly, but is the chairman and co-founder of Harlem Week. Is this not a fun week in Harlem here? This is fabulous. President and CEO of the Greater Harlem Chamber of Commerce for, I'm told, about 25 years. Is that right, Lloyd? Are they signing you up for another? Okay, this is great. This is great. I'm signing them up for another 25. Thank you for your great leadership, Lloyd. Great to be back here. As you know, I know this community well. And one of my early ambassadors was none other than Hazel Dukes, who made sure I went to all the right restaurants and met the people and just went to the churches. And all of a sudden, like everyone else saying, how come she spends all her time in Harlem? Okay, but I love it here. I really do. There's an incredible vibe here. A sense of history, a story that needs to be told beyond the borders of this community, but also just the people of today and how you've risen up, and especially in the aftermath of a pandemic that took so many people down in such a harsh, cruel way. And so celebrating Harlem Week is really putting an exclamation point on a community we know and love, but also after what we've been through, to be able to just open up the doors of the businesses and the arts and culture and say resoundingly, we are back. And that is a powerful, powerful testament. And I cannot think of a better place to be right here and right now than at the Schomburg Center for Research in Black Culture. This is an institution which is renowned. I mean, you don't realize, you walk past, oh, this is really nice to have here. I got my library card, I can look at the whole world talks about this place because they know that we have over 11 million items available to study and research and know the past, but as a precursor to the future. So the Black experience, as it was created here in Harlem, is a story that people want to know about. And we're so honored to have this right here in Harlem. So it's not just the heart of black culture, but it is defining part of New York culture right here, and that is what we have to recognize. And yes, Harlem tells the story of the black experience in America, but there's so many different chapters. I was not long ago at Mother Zion Church, and to think about the fact that this was founded as an abolitionist church in 1796, and that people came there and talked about challenging the status quo, saying this is not okay that we enslave fellow human beings. And people like Harriet Tubman and Frederick Douglass were members and played a critical role in the Underground Railroad. And some of you may not know, I'm not from Harlem, I'm from upstate. But also, those are two people that changed the story of New York elsewhere as well. I've been to the Equal Rights Heritage Center right in the community where Harriet Tubman lived her last 50 years. She lived there 50 years. And what did she do? She was worried about the black soldiers who'd fought in the Civil War who could not go back home again, so she founded a home for these individuals to live. So a powerful story that really started here in Harlem and spread throughout the state, and the same with Frederick Douglass, I've been to his gravesite many times in Rochester. So these are just icons of the story, and it all started right here. Langston Hughes, whose words and narrative helped spark the Harlem Renaissance. Bebop born here, jazz took new form here. People look here for just a sense of energy and electricity that Harlem has always been known for. So this is truly a very special place. And Arturo Alfonso Schomburg knew this very well. He wasn't born here, he was born in Puerto Rico. And he remembered that there were no notable teachings about the African story, that there were no great achievements. His mother was black, and he didn't know the story of his family, and he was in search of that. So that led him to a lifelong pursuit of collecting materials from around the world. All over he went. And he compiled a collection of over 5,000 books. I'm not sure where he kept them at first, 3,000 manuscripts, 2,000 paintings, and he donated them to the Division of Negro Literature and History in Princeton way back in 1926. He knew he had something special. He knew he had a story that he had his hands around, but this would later be named in his honor, the Schomburg Center for Research in Black Culture. And he was the curator here all the way up until 1938. And that's why what we're doing here is not just honoring the history, but protecting and preserving it and sharing it. So that truth is being passed down for future generations, because people sometimes try to rewrite the truth, right? Yeah, okay. Don't let me go there. There's just too much material. But we're not supporting big lies. We're not supporting the retelling of stories and sugarcoating it and acting like it didn't happen, because it did. And the treatment of blacks in this country will forever be a mark on all of us. And as we talk about how we repair and to rebuild and to hopefully someday forgive the experience here. And this place allows us to do that, to take the truth and put it out there in the bright sunlight as it should be. And so this is really part of democracy, part of making sure we're honest about our nation's story, but also feeling an optimism about how we write the future as well. The future is being written right now with what we're doing. Let's be very conscious of that. So New Yorkers will continue to benefit from this storied place. And I'm so honored to be the governor of a state that understands the importance of this place and the materials contained within. So that's our job, to protect and preserve. So that's why I'm proud to announce $8 million in state funding to renovate this great center. Needs a little sprucing up, right? Needs a little facelift. And so it'll be critical infrastructure, a new facade, windows, a new roof, and the dormitory authority is going to begin design immediately. And so also energy saving enhancements so we can reduce the costs and protect our environment. Let's get that done. Safety enhancements. But again, this is more than a facelift of a building. It is putting the best face forward to the rest of the world about the pride that we all feel, not just here in Harlem, but as a state, that this is right here in our midst. These treasures are ours in this beautiful treasure chest. And now this is not just what we're doing physically, but it's also an investment in our history, in our culture. And we'll continue to support this, talk about how Black culture has shaped the American story, honor this rich heritage. As we know, because libraries aren't just where you go borrow books. And I'll tell you, I was a little girl, and I mentioned Harriet Tubman before. I grew up in kind of a big, rambunctious Irish Catholic family. Too many kids all over the place. There's always kids everywhere. And the only place I could go as a little 8-year-old was the public library, one of those little Carnegie buildings, very small. And back then, little kids could walk down the streets by themselves, cross the traffic light, and go. And I used to go there and curl up in a corner. And the book that I checked out the most, to the extent that the librarian said, you might as well just keep it, but I didn't, was the story of Harriet Tubman's childhood. And I'd check it out, and I'd read it at night under the covers, and imagine what it was like for this young woman, a girl, who was being chased through the woods in Maryland, and the sound of the dogs yelping, and how she would touch the side of the trees because she knew the moss grew on the north side. That's how she found her way, all the way to bring not just herself, but went back countless times to bring others to freedom. The library gave me access to that story. I will never forget that, because that had a profound impact on how I looked at my country at that time as an 8-year-old. How could this happen in my country, that this girl just like me had to run for her life and I didn't have to? So, to the keepers of the flame of learning in our libraries, I salute all of you. I salute all of you, and let's make this more accessible, a place people want to be. So when we make this building look beautiful and welcoming and a place where people want to be, we're going to be sharing that same flame, the one that torched a passion in me toward public service. I want that to happen to other young people. So we're going to continue. We're going to continue to main this and celebrate the place where Sojourner Truth was born in our state. Frederick Douglass, as I mentioned, Harriet Tubman, Dr. King spoke here, Shirley Chisholm, all those who just said, yes, we can do more, and challenged us every single day. So that's what we're doing here. This is not just fixing up a building and windows and all that stuff. So I want you to understand the significance to me personally. This is the first major project that I've had the privilege to do as governor, but on the job just a little less than a year. And to me, this is transformative. This is what the role of a governor can do, is to make a community believe in themselves in a powerful way. And that's what we're trying to accomplish here today. This is a community that matters. This is a building that matters. It's a collection that matters. And above all, a story that matters. So we must actively go forth from here today and say, share the knowledge, share the light, share the flame, and inspire the next generation to do exactly what we're doing here today as the keepers of this story in 2022. So I look forward to coming back for a groundbreaking celebration. I look forward to coming back for the ribbon cutting. I've got enormous scissors. They're bigger than I am. One of those skills you learned in kindergarten I'm still using today, how to cut a piece of paper. But I thank you for the extraordinary privilege of representing you, but also being able to bring the resources of the state to do something that I believe is critically important to our state's story. And with that, I would like to bring up my amazing Lieutenant Governor. You need to get to know him and know him well. His story is powerful. He has shaped how we administer how our administration is, because he has a perspective that is important to me, critically important. And I thank him for his position, leaving another position he had, but being willing to be the voice as part of our administration throughout the entire state of New York. So let's give a warm welcome to our Lieutenant Governor, Antonio Delgado.
Thank you. Thank you, Governor, for your kind words and for your leadership. You care a lot about the people, all communities, and it's a real honor to be able to serve alongside of your compassionate, thoughtful, accessible, transparent, and loving leadership. So thank you very much for the opportunity to be with you and to be a partner. I also want to, I know you acknowledged a lot of the state and city representatives. I do want to also acknowledge Assemblyman Al Taylor is here as well. Council Member Chiase is here as well, if I'm not mistaken. Council Member Sean Abreu as well. And Deputy Mayor Sheena Wright, I want to acknowledge too. I know we acknowledged Iris Wanchell and President Joy Bivens, thank you, and Lloyd Williams, thank you, sir. I appreciate your leadership and your passion for the community. I don't know if Carl McCall has made it yet, but I would be remiss if I don't personally acknowledge him because he's been a real mentor for me. It is good to be with you all here at the Schomburg and during Harlem Week. I hope folks are enjoying themselves and embracing this week. We're here, as noted, to announce a significant investment in the center. It's an investment in people. It's an investment in culture, in black people and black culture. And it's important that we acknowledge that and say that. But it's also important to understand why. Why? Why is it so critical to protect this rich history, to preserve it, that we know is living within these walls? If you let Maya Angelou tell you, she says history, despite its retching pain, can be or cannot be unlived. But if faced with courage, it need not be lived again. James Baldwin would tell you, the great force of history comes from the fact that we carry it within us, are unconsciously controlled by it in many ways, and history is literally present in all that we do. In short, there is power, great power in knowing history and understanding history, especially when it comes to black history in America. Black Americans are foundational to the very idea of American freedom. Our struggle is essential to America's commitment to democracy. Without the perseverance, resilience, sacrifice, patriotism of black Americans, it is important to ask the question, where would our democracy be today? Would we even have a democracy if not for the 13th, the 14th, the 15th Amendment? Black Americans have fought in every war this nation has waged since the very first one. And the struggle for black rights has paved the way for every other rights struggle. From women's rights to gay rights to immigrant to disability rights, every other struggle. Every other struggle. And so it is important to understand that black history speaks directly to the heart of America's commitment to democracy and the struggle to perfect our union. That's powerful. We have to embrace that. It is critical that we preserve the rich history that lives within these walls so that we may always stay grounded in our collective purpose as a nation to achieve liberty and justice for all. Now, I think, and I'm going to keep myself in check, I think we can all agree that knowing and protecting and preserving and celebrating our history today, at a time when our very democracy is at stake, is all the more important. It is all the more important. We must draw strength and wisdom at this time from this history. Strength based on the fact that we have overcome far worse. and wisdom based on the recognition that it was love, not hate, that saw us through. As the great Dr. King would say, let us not satisfy our thirst for freedom by drinking from the cup of bitterness and hatred. We must forever conduct our struggle on the high plane of dignity and discipline. Always remember that no one is born to hate. It is learned behavior. And so through education, love, and respect, we change hearts and minds. And this is the power of preserving our history. I want to thank the New York Public Library and the Schomburg Center for everything that you do in helping us perfect our union, helping us stay grounded in our collective purpose. And I want to wish you all a wonderful and blessed day and week. It is good to be with you. And with that, I will now introduce State Senator Clear.
Good morning, everybody. Thank you. Yeah, good morning, everyone. This is a great day in Harlem, and I don't know how to follow what's been said already. I'm very encouraged by it because it certainly set a stage for what needs to be said. Black history, it's everything. As we fight and struggle to remain in this community, gentrification pushing us out at every turn, we have to preserve the culture. The story has to be told right. The culture is what will save us. Knowing what was done in the past and how it was done in the past is what's going to help us fight it from happening again. And you all know that we're going to be here again almost a week from today, right? Everybody's coming back because the Schomburg, as it was said before, is not just a library. It's a hub. It is a cultural hub, and it is our history living right now. Our district lines are being challenged that are going to change what Harlem looks like. It's possibly going to change who represents us. Right now, we have one Black representative on the most local form of government in this borough. And what is proposed to happen could make sure that we don't have any. So we're not going to let that happen. It's no mistake that we're here today. We're going to say hands off Harlem, and we are going to make that history here today. I'm so proud to welcome Governor Hochul back to Harlem, and I'm heartened by your commitment to the Schomburg. This is the literal embodiment and repository of the entire history of Black people in the world. To say it is important and consequential is only to begin to tell the story, Athena. The Schomburg is a place of pure inspiration and has been for generations. There's literally no other place like it in the universe, and it holds and tells the story of the most inspiring and courageous people in the world. A library is so important. I grew up the youngest of 9. I can count the books we bought in our entire lifetime. But the library was there. We were able to come and borrow and read and spend time. And that's how we learned about our history, which makes me think of another thing that we have to fight to do. Black history can't just be in the Schomburg. We have to teach Black history in our schools. Black history is American history. To be an adult, or almost an adult, learning about things in the Black culture, I felt robbed. And our children are being robbed. All children, not just Black children, all children are being robbed, and they should know the history and the contributions and the achievements of Black people. So we have to continue those fights. And I'm not going to take my seat without mentioning all my colleagues in government, Eddie Gibbs, Assemblyman Eddie Gibbs. Assemblyman Al Taylor, Assemblyman De Los Santos, my partner, Senator Robert Jackson, Assemblywoman Inez Dickens. I'm new to Albany, and I got up there not knowing who my allies were. But the Schomburg came up in the budget. And let me tell you, if they weren't clear before then, they are clear now. I'm known to be just a little radical sometimes, but you should have seen Inez Dickens. So, it was great. And, I have to mention not just us. We have our colleagues in Queens, our colleagues in all across the state, Buffalo, everyone who voted to make sure not only was the money for the Schomburg restored, but that it was increased. They see the value. Come on, let's give it up. The Schomburg belongs to all of us, but Harlem has a special claim on it, Shatik. It belongs personally to us. This is our space, this is our place. We are the crossroads of Black America. We have welcomed them all. Everything has happened here, everybody's been here. We're gonna continue to be trendsetters and go-getters. And we're gonna make sure that the Schomburg is here for future generations as well as us. We're gonna be here too to enjoy it. So I wanna thank you all today, and thank you again, Governor Hochul. Thank you so much. It's my job to introduce the chief troublemaker. Yeah, I followed her. And I just wanted to say this too, that I'm so thankful that I'm able to be in this position 6 months in Albany, 7 months in the seat. Y'all chose me to be there. I stand on the backs of others. This ground was laid before me. And I had a Schomburg to come up there and support, that it was even there to support it. And I owe it to all of you, Senator Patterson, Governor Patterson, Carl McCall, everyone who before me saw the importance of this institution, and I thank you so much.
Good morning, family. Ashe, ashe. Harlem in the house. I could not stand here without acknowledging the work that I've done over the years with the New York Public Libraries. Yes. We sometimes fought, but we always stood together for the betterment of the people, the residents, the visitors of New York City. Joy, you have taken the Schomburg into the 21st century, but I cannot stand here without acknowledging Dr. Howard Dotson, who over the years fought hard for the Schomburg and brought us into the 20th century. Dr. Dukes brought us into the 20th century and fought hard. And I will be eternally grateful to him. I thank the governor because she understood the need to preserve this delicate, this strong, this towering garden that is served as the epicenter of the African diaspora for culture, for understanding, for social values, for economics. Not just for African Americans, but for Afro people across the world. I see that the chair of libraries, Councilmember Osei, is here, and I served when I was in the city council on that same committee. where I was able to bring, with the help of Mark Levine, who was then in the city council with me. I don't know if he's still here. Are you still here, Mark? Okay. In order to bring the monies that started the renovation, that built the basement, the tech center in the basement, put the new front, and the visiting center, brought the capital here to preserve this phenomenal institution. But you don't do it alone. And in Albany, as in the city council, and you can attest to this, Robert Jackson, you're a senator now, but bro, you was in the city council then. And you stood with me, and we stood together, united, to fight for this institution, along with Governor David Patterson, who was then senator, and of course with Carl McCall, who was then serving statewide, to help us preserve the Schomburg. Now, if many of you are not aware, Aisha Schomburg still serves on the board of this great institution, and she is the granddaughter of Arturo Schomburg. I want to give you a little history here. Today, I fight along with my senator, Cordell Clare, and you know, she said she can get a little radical. Well, you know, I tend to be, those of you that know me well, know that I tend to be a little quiet and a little reserved. And I tend, Michael Gardner, Vice President of MTA, I tend to, Curtis Archie, you know me, I tend to be a little quiet. But when I'm ready, I turn Cordell loose. So I turn her loose. I say, go get him, you know, and I'm so glad to see so many of my colleagues here. I know that Shauna Brew is here, and I want to thank my brother for being here. Thank you, Sean. I don't know whether Jabari is here, Bridgeport, is Senator Bridgeport here? I don't know, but I want to talk about my Robert Jackson, my senator, along with Cordell. Eddie Gibbs, who serves in the assembly with me. My man, Al Taylor. We've got our district leaders here that came. I don't know whether Wilma is here, but Wilma Brown is here. You know, because we take the credit, those of us that are elected. We stand with the governor, and we take the pictures, and with the lieutenant governor, and we get the pats on the back, and y'all tell us how well we're doing. But we don't do it without all of you. Without the Hazel Dukes, the Mike Gardners, the Curtis Archers, without you, without the Vi Higginsons, without the Mama Foundation, without Vosa Rivers and New Heritage, that all have stood to fight for the Schomburg. You don't do it alone. We do it because we know you got our backs, family. You stand with us. And this garden, our governor today committed $8 million in a capital in order to see to it that this institution is forever preserved in the annals of history. I want you to give it up for her, because she stepped into this not realizing it was going to come upon her. But she's taken the mantle and she's run with that torch, and she's fought hard. She signed for cannabis. She signed for bail reform. She has signed to increase the MWBE opportunities. Girlfriend has stood up and signed, that's what I call a girlfriend, you know. A girlfriend has stood up and saw to it that we've had a fair and equitable and transparent budget. And that's right, give it up for Governor Kathy Hochul. And she didn't just come to Harlem today. See, she didn't just come today. Hazel, is that right? She didn't come just today. See, she came before she got to be governor. You know, she came before. She stood up and walked these streets. When we had the street fairs, she came for Harlem Week. When she was not governor, she came and walked the streets and sat at Sylvia's for lunch. You know, so Governor Hochul understands what it is for the Harlems across the state of New York. But she truly has committed by signing on that check for that $8 million grant. Give it up for a phenomenal, hardworking, dedicated woman. Come on, give it up for her. Come on, stand up, y'all. Stand up for her. And Governor, I want to thank you personally for doing this. I stand with Joy. I told Joy, I said, that's a beautiful green. She said, well, it's for money. You know, it's for money. I get it. I should have worn some green. You know, so Governor, thank you. Thank you for all that you've done. Thank you for standing up when it's been unpopular. Thank you for standing up when you stood alone. Thank you for standing up when it was difficult. Thank you for being here today. God bless you, and thank you again.
Please welcome back to the stage Governor Kathy Hochul.
I think I'll just quit while I'm ahead. No, we never quit. Thank you for the outpouring of love I felt from the people who just spoke, and I am humbled. I am humbled to be in this presence of a history, a story that is just needs to be told and continue to be revealed, but the story of the real people. I mean, we talk about places and buildings, but it's the people. It's the elected leaders today who you'll be talking about now, but also future generations will speak of them in the same whispered tones that we honor the names that I just mentioned earlier. So you're seeing history unfold when people look back and say, how did we get through the pandemic? How did we rise up again? And how did Harlem retain its soul and not let it be stripped away? The elected officials you have here today, from our council members, the assembly, to the Senate, to our borough, all the way up to our former governor, who's still a force of nature, and the team you see here, these are the protectors of the flame. And you're witnessing history in the making as we continue on that march toward justice that will never end, but we must take up the pace. We have a long road to go. And also in honor of that, and to celebrate the spirit, the vibe of Harlem, it is the 48th Harlem Week. And I've not been there for all of them, not all 48, but I've been to a lot of them. And I've had the pleasure of working so closely with the team that innovated this idea a long time ago. But we celebrate arts, culture, religion, business, entertainment, sports. But I love this year's theme: inspiration, impact, and legacy. That's what we're talking about. That's what we're going to continue to talk about. And so with that, I have a chance to present a proclamation to Loy, but also to recognize that we also are paying tribute to the people who keep society safe, the people who put on a uniform every day to ensure that we keep the fabric of society kept together, keep our children safe, people in the workplace, people on our subways. And I'm here to also pay tribute, as you are during Harlem Week, NYPD's fallen heroes, Detectives Jason Rivera and Wilbert Mora. We honor them. And all those who are willing to sacrifice their lives for all of us. And so it is with heavy heart we recognize them as well, but they deserve that continual recognition. But right now, it is my great honor to present a proclamation on behalf of New York to Lloyd Williams, the chairman and co-founder of Harlem Week. And I want to thank Lloyd for just being the face of Harlem for such a long time, and it is a beautiful face. It is a face that is who understands the power that we all possess to lift up our businesses, why the chamber is everything, because communities, their character, their soul is truly reflected in the businesses as well. When you walk down the streets, you get that feeling. And I've had that feeling, and it is uniquely special here. So, Lloyd, you are the person who's kept it all together through the good times and bad, and now we celebrate the good times once again. Let me present this proclamation on behalf of 20 million New Yorkers to you.
Go by Cordell. You go by Cordell. Go by you.
The governor loved biscuits. That's it.